Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's Paul from Lone Wolf Media, and today we just received some exciting news. HBO released the official trailer for Season 7 of Game of Thrones. If you want to watch Season 7 without having any idea of what's going on, and save yourself from spoilers, I suggest you stop watching this video right now. You'll have to forgive me if some of these photos are a bit blurry, but you should all be able to see through the blurriness. I won't exactly be going in the exact order things appear in the trailer just for the sake of not having to jump back and forth between topics. So without further ado, let's dive into this video and predict what will happen in Season 7. One of the first shots shows Grey Worm standing in front of a bunch of Unsullied. And the first thing that jumps out is Grey Worm's armor. The armor actually has sleeves on it. This is our first indication in the trailer that winter has arrived in Westeros. One of the more interesting shots that is shown is of a courtyard, I guess you could say, in the Red Keep. And the floor of this courtyard has been painted to show a map of Westeros. Here we can see Cersei and Jaime looking at it, presumably making plans for the war. However, what I find to be interesting are the two maps in the top left corner. One appears to be a miniature version of the big map that the painter probably used just to base the much bigger map on. The other is probably a map of the Crown Lands, that is, the land surrounding King's Landing. Cersei is no stranger to sieges, as she was in King's Landing for the Battle of the Blackwater, but Tyrion ran the defenses on that one, so it looks like she's having Jaime help her not only plan to defend the realm, but more specifically the Crown Lands, and most importantly, King's Landing. Now, this is where things get interesting. The next shot appears when a voiceover of Cersei says that there are wars in the West, and in this shot we can see one ship. This ship is a Greyjoy ship because of the Kraken on the sail. This ship could either be from Euron's fleet or Yara's fleet. Now, what would Yara and Theon be doing in the Sunset Sea, west of Westeros? This is where I'm going to jump forward to the future shots and skip some of the others for the moment. The bulk of the Lannister Navy is still near Casterly Rock, as far as we know. So it makes sense to send the Ironborn to take out the Lannister Navy before they can reach King's Landing and defend it. Another possibility is that the Greyjoys are sailing west to kill Euron, and I'll get into why that's more likely in a little bit. In this shot we see Theon's face illuminated by light from flames, and I'm assuming what he's looking at is this. Here we see a ship that's partially on fire, probably from burning pitch, and there are men boarding the ship. Now, the only weapons we can see are axes, and the only people who chiefly use axes are Ironborn. Given that the people fighting each other seem to use only axes, we can infer that Ironborn are fighting Ironborn. This later shot gives more testament to this idea. In this shot, we see armed men crossing a rope bridge, and below the bridge we see huge waves. The only place that has rope bridges and huge waves is Pike, the Greyjoy castle. In Season 7, we can expect Pike to be under siege, and Euron to possibly be killed. Remember, Yara and Theon want Daenerys' help to overthrow Euron before they help her take the Iron Throne. Now, reverting back to an earlier part of the trailer, Cersei is talking to Jaime and she says that they will defeat any attempt to overthrow her, saying that they're the last Lannisters, the last ones who count. We also see Lannister troops mobilizing. This next shot is particularly interesting because it leaves some ambiguity as to where it is. Here we see Unsullied pouring through an entrance, and at first glance it looks like it could be King's Landing, but upon closer inspection we can see that there's Lannister heraldry above the entrance, which could possibly indicate that it's not King's Landing, but Casterly Rock. And it was rumored that we'd see Casterly Rock in Season 7. So, Casterly Rock could be attacked, but as far as we can tell, it'll be by land, not by sea. The Dothraki could also be a major part in this attack, because later on we see a Dothraki screamer jump off his horse and attack a Lannister bowman. We can tell he's a Lannister because of the crimson in his uniform, so there's definitely going to be a lot of conflict between Cersei and Daenerys this season. Going back earlier in the trailer, we see Arya on a horse. There's also a shot of her lighting a fire, but we can also see is snow. This means she's getting closer to Winterfell. Now, the shot that really confuses me is the one that shows someone sharpening a blade. This could be Arya, but it's hard to be sure since it doesn't look like the person with the blade is anywhere near the wilderness. But you never know. Could we possibly see a reunion between Arya and Nymeria in the wilderness? We also see Arya looking under a piece of furniture for something. From the next couple of shots, we can tell that Daenerys has reached Dragonstone, because you can see the Targaryen banner at the top of the Dragonstone keep. We also get to see her sitting on her throne in Dragonstone, but what's odd to me is that Dothraki are guarding her, not Unsullied. This is probably because she sent the majority of the Unsullied to take Casterly Rock. I just find this strange because she has traditionally used the Unsullied to personally guard her. In this next shot, we see Melisandre, who's possibly in Dragonstone, but that's an assumption on my part. She's observing some men on the walls. What I find interesting, though, is that if she's come to advise Daenerys, it wouldn't be the first time a Red Priest would have encountered a Targaryen monarch. Thoros of Myr, a Red Priest, tried to convert the Mad King. This is a minor, but maybe highly significant detail in the trailer. In this next shot, we see Jon in Winterfell with Davos and Sansa, and we can see Littlefinger off to the side. Jon is definitely running the show, but what interests me is the next shot, when Littlefinger tells Sansa, "Your father and brothers are gone, yet here you stand." He's still trying to win Sansa to his side, and isn't showing any signs of stopping his schemes anytime soon. In another shot, we see Jon attack Littlefinger in the Winterfell crypts, possibly because he knows Littlefinger is trying to stab him in the back. Jon could be in the crypts to bury Rickon, because after the Battle of the Bastards, he said he wanted Rickon to be buried there. This is where he could find out about his true parents. Only thing is, would Littlefinger know about it? What I've heard, but can't confirm for sure, is that there's a sealed-off passage in the crypts built by Ned which has Jon's coffin in that passage. And on that coffin would be inscribed who Jon's parents were, Lyanna Stark and Rhaegar Targaryen. If he knew about his parentage, that would completely change who should be sitting on the Iron Throne. Here we have a shot where the gate to the north in Castle Black is being lifted. From what we know already and from what we see in the trailer, it could be a couple of things. 1, Bran is returning from the north, or 2, Jon is going north for whatever purpose. Both are pretty likely, but why would Jon go north? Probably to see what the Army of the Dead's doing for himself, but it seems awfully risky. These shots show some wildlings running from something and eventually forming a circle, probably as a defensive position. In another shot, we see Jon and Tormund running from something as well. In both cases, this something is probably whites. In another shot, we see Davos warning of certain death if the realm remains divided. We also see something going on with Yara and Ellaria Sand, which could end up being pretty important. What really interests me, though, is this arm being inserted through this wooden structure. Given all the grayscales on the arm, it's safe to assume that it's Jorah, and that he's probably putting his arm in this structure because the structure is a sort of arm guillotine that will amputate his arm, and that's the only way to stop the grayscale. Next, we see the Mountain in some new armor. It looks like he's taking the Cersei's black and silver wardrobe. Are the other members of the Kingsguard making that change as well? And finally, we see the Targaryen Khalasar in all its glory. And man, those dragons have gotten big. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up for this video. Let me know if I missed anything you'd like me to cover. Please like this video and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you think is going to happen in the 7th season. Thank you all for watching.